Everybody keeps talking about what the Patriots should do. Let's end that talk now.
Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms, and I am back with another talking about what the New England Patriots should take, and we're going to give a decision here, and we're going to go through a few of the options, what all the rumors are, what I think that they should do, but probably won't, because it's one of my favorite teams. They just don't make the last couple of years, unfortunately. Can't get past that draft hump. So we're going to talk about it here today. But before we do that, make sure you follow me over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin. You can follow the podcast at FF After Dark. And if you can, over on YouTube, Apple, Google, wherever you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, leave a review, like the video if you can. If you do like it, wait till the end. Listen to the whole thing. If you like this content, this isn't explicitly fantasy content, but with us coming up to the draft week, I want to put out a little bit more just real life content, get my thoughts out there. I had to listen to this nonstop for the last 4 months, so it's my turn to give my thoughts here. So if you like this kind of content, just let me know. Again, we like to hear from you guys down in the comments. So let's jump into it. New England, they were terrible. They weren't terrible enough, unfortunately, to get the number 1 pick, but we got the number 3. And what should we do with the number 3? All the rumors are swirling right now that obviously it's Caleb Williams number 1, but Jaden Daniels is going number 2. Pretty much, it's like a 75% confirmed pick at this point, that he's going to be going to the Washington Commanders at 2 overall, which leaves us the option of Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Marvin Harrison Jr. Who are we going to be able to get with that pick? You get a pretty good player. We definitely need quarterback. Our roster is not that good. We also need a wide receiver. Our skill players are terrible. Brock Bowers. Our offensive line is in trouble. There is quite a bit of draft capital, but we don't have a ton of extra picks. We have the 3, 34, 68, 103, 137. We have an extra 6 rounder. That's pretty much it this year. So we have all of our normal picks. So not a lot of extra picks in this draft, and I don't think we have either. So what should the Patriots do? And we're in a little bit of a pickle. If you're a Patriots fan, the old days of Tom Brady carrying our team, even when our roster wasn't that good, is it's just not feasible. But this year, what we're going to be able to do, trade out of the number 3. And everyone's saying, oh, you can't do that. You got to take a quarterback. You don't have to take a quarterback, guys. When the roster is this bad, the quarterback that we take is going to fail. I don't care who it is. They're going to fail. I don't even think Patrick Mahomes could come onto this team as a rookie and succeed with what we have. The lack of talent we have just across the board. Next year is not an amazing free agent wide receiver class, and unless the Patriots sack up and they're going to send like the 34 pick for Brandon Ayuk, for example, T. Higgins or one of these other elite wide receivers that are out there being floated by these other teams, we're not going to be able to really fix all the holes that we have on this roster. Now, what I would do if I was the New England Patriots and what I think they should do, and again, they're not going to do this. They're going to take Drake May or JJ McCarthy. Doesn't matter which one. I think it's going to be a mistake. And I like Drake May. I think that he would be a good selection for the Patriots. I just wish we could get him with like the 6th pick. Like if we can trade back 3 spots just with the Giants, that would be amazing. But, it's probably not going to happen unless they can be talked into taking Drake May with the number 3 pick. So, or JJ McCarthy, for example. So they're going to end up taking Drake May. This is what's going to happen. They're probably going to take, Troy Franklin or Keon Coleman or one of these type of wide receivers in round 2 and a top offensive lineman in whoever's left on the board at that point. Maybe they switch round 2 and round 3. That's probably, if you're a betting person, that's what's going to happen. But what they should do is trade back with the Minnesota Vikings, or again, if they can trade back with the Giants, let's say they pick up just another extra 2 or a 2 and a 3 or whatever that cost may be. You go back a couple years when the Indianapolis Colts traded back from 3 to 6 with I think it was Jets in that year. They picked up 3 extra seconds. That's a pretty hefty cost. If we can get 2 seconds and a third, a first and a third, something like that for moving back 3 spots, I would totally do that. But I think that the Minnesota Vikings are pretty much rumored to be every pick in the trade up. And you can get 2 firsts in this draft class, not premium first, but either one of those options, I'd be, there's a few probably other sleeper candidates in terms of trade ups. You got the Broncos. They're sitting there at 12. Minnesota's at 11. The Raiders at 13. Could any one of these guys want to jump up and get their quarterback of the future? It's definitely possible, but it's just very, very expensive for those teams. They don't have the multiple firsts like the Minnesota Vikings do. So let's say that they trade back with New York Giants 2-6. You have 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes 4, and then Joe Alt, the number 1 tackle, which is pretty consensus to the Chargers right now. Or you even see someone like the Broncos trading up or even the Raiders, or the Vikings trade up to 5 with the Chargers to jump over the Patriots at 6. That leaves us at 6 with a pretty massive need, but I would be very happy with there at that pick. I think that the lack of weapons it's just not going to work for any single quarterback until we fix the weapons on. Malik Neighbors, he's the 1B. He's the B side of this amazing top 2 guys in this draft class. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors feels like a downgrade, but I think he's just as good as Marv. They're in the same tier, obviously, for me. So I'd be very happy getting Neighbors there at 6. You have, whatever that extra pick. Maybe you get the Giants' second round pick this year, 47, right? So then all of a sudden you have 34 and 47, and maybe you get a first rounder next year or whatever that could be. At 34, you take the best offensive lineman that's left on the board. And I'd be fine flipping this too. Joe Alt, let's say that that somebody jumps, the Patriots have 5 at that point for a quarterback. I would go Joe Alt there at 6 pretty happily. And then at 34, you take the best remaining wide receiver, Roman Wilson, or Troy Franklin, John Coleman, whoever it could be that just drops out of the first round. Such a deep class that I think that you grab a guy pretty high in the second and feel pretty good about it. Then again, you have the 47 that you could take whatever you wanted to at that point, whether it's another offensive lineman, whether it's maybe you take a stab on Spencer Rattler with that pick, whatever it is. I would be all aboard doing that versus jamming Drake May in at number 3 overall and watching him fail, because you're just not going to be able to fix this roster, unfortunately, with the draft this year. You'd have to rely on next year. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but people are pretty impatient in real life and fantasy football, where if Drake May is not a all-pro candidate as a rookie, then he's probably a bust and we have to move on from him. That's how people read. I know I'm being a little sarcastic here, but people do tend to overreact if you don't see the best out of these rookie quarterbacks, and especially when you don't put them in positions to succeed. Like, what do you want these people to do? You're just setting them up for failure. So don't do that. Trade back, get the extra draft capital, and then next year, looking at next year's draft class, you have guys like Drew Allar from, I think, Penn, Shadier Sanders. He probably will go here, obviously, with Dion running his whole management campaign for never playing in the cold. Good luck with that. If you ever play in playoffs, it's always in the winter. So good luck with that, Dion. I don't know how to work for you, but Carson Beck out of Georgia is another guy that I would be very interested in as well. And again, if the team is bad because we don't have an amazing quarterback this year, we're going to be right up there next year. And you could have that extra Giants, for example, or the Vikings or whoever it may be. And I would be more than happy to punt the quarterback position for one more year, build this roster up, and then just be ready to plug and play, hopefully a little bit more easily next year. I mean, look at what the Bears have done. Obviously, they had Fields this whole time, but they've been constantly building this team, and to the point where Caleb Williams is, going into the best team that a rookie number 1 overall pick probably has ever gone to. I would love to do that with the Patriots, where next year maybe we're not the 1, but maybe the 2. We get the second best quarterback, whatever it is. Just set the team up for them. That just would be way better. Now, on the flip side, let's say that they can't work something. Giants are just playing everybody. They don't want a quarterback. I think they want a quarterback personally. But let's say that they're just doing this to push Neighbors or Marv down to 6, right? So all of a sudden, the Vikings are the only trade partner. No, I don't believe that'd be the case, but all of a sudden you're getting the 11 pick, the 23 pick, and maybe a first rounder next year as well, or a second rounder this year and a second rounder next year, whatever that is. It's going to be an expensive trade. Going from 11 to 3 is just going to be a massive trade up. So you're going to have to pay no matter what. You go down to 11 though, again, at that point, it's entirely possible that Rome Odunze is still there. I know it's impossible in the minds of people on social media, but the Bears, I don't think that they're going to be in on Rome. Maybe they'll surprise me and they're going to set themselves up for the future with Rome. But man, I would love to see them just add an extra offensive lineman at 9 or even trade back. And I don't think anybody trading up would be for Rome at that point. You've got Denver right there that needs a lot of weapons as well. So you'd be one spot ahead of them. Take Rome Odunze there. Brock Bowers at that point. I know they just signed Hunter Henry, but Brock, pretty good player, and I'd be happy. And then even Brian Thomas Jr., I'd be more than willing to take him at 11 if Rome did go 9 to the Bears. So you could get the wide receiver of the future, or you could get an offensive lineman because, again, we need offensive line desperately. Team. And then with the 23, you take the best wide receiver left at that point, Donnie Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell, or Troy Franklin, or again, some of those guys that are rumored to be going late rounder. And I would be more than willing to do that. And then at 34, again, maybe with the 23 pick, you could get like a junior at that point. I don't think so. I don't think he'll last that long. But there's always that possibility that you could maybe move up from 23 to 15 or something like that and try and get a Michael Penix that way. So you're not getting the top guy, but you're getting the extra value on top of it. 34, again, you had the best wide receiver, you had the best offensive lineman, best defensive player, just best player on the board, and you just continue to build this team, set them up. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Gerard Mayo because I don't know if he's going to have a decent long leash or not with this new regime. Coming off of Bill Belichick and his failures the last couple of years, how Bill has kind of set this team up to fail. I don't know if the Robert Kraft and Jonathan Kraft management ownership group are going to want to bad again and kind of grit and bear it with the rebuilding process that this team needs to go through, but that's going to be the biggest question. And I don't have an answer for that, but hopefully they're not going to put him in the hot seat after 1 year. Honestly, he shouldn't have been, to be honest. Like, I would rather get somebody that's not a defense-minded coach in here to fix this offense because it's going to be rough. But yeah, so we'll see what happens from that front. But I would be very happy if New England Patriots trade back from 3 on Thursday night. Let me know your thoughts on this, whether I'm crazy. They should just take Drake May and, lock up their quarterback of the future, even if the roster completely sucks, or if they should take a little bit more of a forward-thinking approach, build this roster up, and grab a guy either later in this one, Spencer Rattler, maybe second or third round, or maybe even 5 first-round quarterback. Let me know your thoughts, whether those trade potentials, I only let out 2 of them, but I do believe that there would probably be more candidates that'd be willing to move in to that number 3 spot. It'd just be all about cost, right? Those are the easiest 2 that it wouldn't cost them an arm and a leg, and they have the draft capital to do it, but there could definitely be sleepers out there that we don't know about. So it's going to be fun on Thursday night. I'm pretty excited about it. But again, let me know your thoughts. Should the Patriots trade back from 3? Yes or no? And if not, if they are at 3, who would you like them to take? Marvin Harrison Jr.? Would you like them to take a Drake May or Jaden Daniels or even a JJ McCarthy? So let me know your thoughts. Again, follow me on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, FF After Dark for the podcast, and on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple. Like, comment, subscribe, that fun stuff. And appreciate you guys checking us out. We're going to be doing a mock draft tomorrow. I'm going to be putting that out there. Haven't done one all year for the actual draft. Going through that one pretty quickly. I'll try and keep it to like half an hour talking through it. It's just what I think will happen, or maybe I'll do what I would do. We'll see. We'll see how I feel tomorrow when I record this, but that'll be coming out on Wednesday. And again, we appreciate you guys dropping right before the draft. And thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?